Hey everyone, today is going to be a different episode. I've got a couple items to show you that are very nostalgic. If you're around in the 1970s and 80s, then I'm sure that you remember these. The first one that I have is Billy Beer. Do you guys remember this stuff? This was everywhere beginning in 1977. It came out by Falls City Brewing Company. And this stuff became the butt of all jokes. There were probably 10 or so songs that were written in the 70s or 80s about this beer. And it just really didn't sell very well. It was brewed exclusively for Billy Carter, which is the younger brother of Jimmy Carter, you know, the president of the United States. But this stuff just didn't sell very well. And by October of 1978, the Falls City Brewing Company went under. And this stuff was everywhere. Now, there were ads in the paper, if you guys remember, where they were selling this stuff for $100 a can or even $1,000 a can. So people were trying to collect it thinking one day they're going to get rich off of this beer. And in reality, by the 80s, it probably was worth 50 cents or $1 a can, which is about the same price that you can get it for today. If you're paying more for that, you probably shouldn't. Someone's got this stuff somewhere that they'll probably just give you because they realize it's not worth anything. You might inherit it. You might just get it from some guy that doesn't want it in his collection anymore. It is everywhere. And that's how I acquired a whole 6-pack of this stuff. But if you notice the tops there, those are unique. And that's what I kind of want to dive into with this video, and just kind of how old things used to open. And I say old things, if you go back to like my grandpa's day of drinking beer, he had the can openers where he would pop the top, literally puncture in one side, puncture in the other side, and drink it that way. And Falls City Beer was one of those ones that he liked. By the time this came around, he didn't like it. My dad didn't like this beer because it was a light beer, which is pretty funny because Billy Carter himself, there's an article, we'll post it here. It says that he was not a fan of this beer at all because it was too light for him as well. He was a fan of past Blue Ribbon beer. So it's kind of crazy that he even had this beer, and his family didn't approve of him having this, but at the same time, he really didn't approve of his family. It's kind of a big mix-up, and that's kind of where the butt of the jokes are. So, I don't know. It's a strange thing from the 70s, but it's a memorable thing of the 70s. Okay, as you can see, we've got a full 6-pack of this Billy Beer. We're just going to take one off there. But it says down at the bottom, down here, I had this beer brewed up just for me. I think it's the best I've ever tasted, and I've tasted a lot, and I think you'll like it too. And then it's signed by Billy Carter right there. And then up here at the top, it says that it was brewed exclusively for and with the personal approval of the one and only America's all-time great beer drinker, Billy Carter. And like I said, he was just sort of a kind of a redneck guy from Georgia. In fact, he owned his own convenience store or gas station or something in Georgia. And so this was marketed heavily in hopes of just kind of bringing Falls City beer back, or maybe a new national brand, because they were trying to compete with Budweiser, Coors, all that stuff. Unfortunately, it didn't do anything for them. But what's interesting about this beer is it's not a problem to open this because these are just all over the place and they're really not worth anything. So if you grew up with these tabs like this, or you're around in the time period where these tabs were, these were fantastic right here. They were on beer, they were on soda, they were on all kinds of things. But you could open these and then rip the whole thing off. In fact, we're going to show you. And so we'll see on this beer from 1977, 1978, is there still any carbonation in it? So let's see. Oh, more than I thought. So you rip the whole thing off like that right there. And then what was interesting is you could make full chains of stuff. In fact, just kind of show you, we'll open another one. Like I said, don't worry about this stuff being worth money whatsoever, because it is not. Well, there's fizz in that too, more than I thought. It kind of brings back memories just opening things like this, I wasn't old enough to drink beer when these were around, but I definitely remember tasting a few from my dad and my dad opening it, so I had a distinct smell. But like I said, all the Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, whatever, it opened this way. But you guys remember these things. You could take this and then fold it together and then make a chain just like that. So you could have a whole bunch of these and you could make a chain curtain on your room, whether it's the window or like a curtain to enter your room. Now, people got crazy in the 70s, especially because there was different fashion things in magazines or whatever else. And people made sort of like chain mail like you would see to protect you from a shark attack. I don't think anyone used it to protect them from a shark attack, but they made vests out of it and various fashion things. Or I remember a couple kids or something that would make a belt out of this or something. It was just kind of punk rock like, I guess, but really looking back on it, it's stupid. But you could do a lot with these things. But supposedly the reason why they got rid of these is people would take these and just discard them. So if they were at the lake, the beach, whatever, they would throw them down. And then if you stepped on these, they could cut you. That was kind of the big deal with these. And they stopped making them because of that. Now, I never personally got cut on these. When I stepped on them, I was in the sand, so I guess I got lucky. It was never a big deal for me, but you used to see these everywhere. People would pop them off and throw them out the windows, so they were at intersections and everywhere. So the more modern cans, you didn't really pull these off. I think at first people were trying to pull them off and they'd kind of leave a big hole. And if you had a mustache or something like that, it would pull the hair on your mustache. So you'd quickly learn to not do it. But yeah, it's just a different item. Kind of miss having cans like that. They were real easy to drink out of and just nostalgic. Even just the can shape itself doesn't angle in to kind of make you sip it easier or something. I don't know, but they're a classic can shape and everything. So we just opened this beer, and I don't have the nerve to taste it after all these many years because let's just say I don't want the Billy Poops. And I don't know, I'm not brave enough for that, but I am going to smell it. It smells just like a regular beer. This stuff may still be good. I just don't know if I have the nerve with my digestive system to partake in a taste of it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm daring enough to do it. But this is a weird deal. You can smell the alcohol in it. It smells more like a rubbing alcohol. So I probably shouldn't do this, but let's just try it. What the heck? More like a rubbing alcohol that you would rub on your arm to get a shot or something is more what it tastes like. It is definitely a light beer taste still. I don't know. Hopefully I don't get sick on that or something, but it's been sealed. No telling if it's been in the heat all those years or whatever, but yeah, it's kind of weird to drink something from the can, I gotta admit. I think I like it better than the more modern cans just because it's a smooth top. You don't have any kind of tab in the way right here, something that's stuck on there. And I know you can pop that off, but I just feel like this is a smooth way of opening it. And that's what I liked about these tabs. So we'll push this aside, and I've got something else to show you. And it's an old way of opening it. It is not a beer, but it is an old Pepsi. And I say old, this is more like something you would see in the 80s. And it kind of had this foam wrapper on it, and it had the metal top on it. And this is probably worth a little bit more than what that is. Well, probably more than what all those are. But I've got several of these in my collection. And mainly just these come from family and stuff like that didn't want it anymore. So don't worry about me blowing a bunch of money or something like that. But I've got several of these in here, and I just want us to relive some of the nostalgia with this kind of container, because this is glass. You hear that? I'll argue with people all day, and that glass is much better for soda. In fact, you can still get Mexican sodas in the glass bottles like you're supposed to, and maybe a few others. But for the most part, it's going to come in plastic. And if I have to choose even between a can and glass, I'm going to choose glass. And I know a lot of people say, well, you can't taste the difference. And maybe we should do a video on that someday, where I feel like you can. The glass just keeps it colder, longer, and I feel like it keeps it fresher. However, if you're a soda and you got it in the sun, I could see where it maybe kind of fades it or something. But I mean, how many years are you going to keep that soda around before that happens? So, but I don't know. I'm not a real big Pepsi drinker, but I never have been. I've drank it at times, but I was always a RC Cola, Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, different things like that. Even went into the weird sodas like Jolt in the 80s, which is still around, by the way. A lot of people think that's gone, but I want us to open this up and just kind of remember some of the nostalgia with a bottle like this. So let's get to it. Okay, so here's the old Pepsi bottle. And like I said, give you kind of a close-up. There's the metal top right there. You don't see metal tops anymore. They're all plastic. If you do see a metal top, it's kind of the pop top kind, you know. And but this is a good old 16-ounce Pepsi. You could probably buy this in the 80s for 49 cents, 69 cents, depending on where you were. And that was the price of a soda. But we'd pop the top. Has a little bit of different sound if we can do it, because it's been sealed a long time and maybe we can't do it. But we're going to try. There we go. That thing was really sealed. I don't ever remember them being that tight. But listen to this sound. Hopefully we can get a sound from it. Well, normally these little things would pop from what I remember, but I guess it was just sealed on there so long. But do you guys remember these little things right here? You would take your fingernail and you would scrape that out and pull this little blue thing out. And they were different colors in there, like 7-Up could be clear or yellow or something, or Sprite. But a lot of times on the inside, there would be coupons. Like I said, there was no fizz whatsoever when we opened that. So this didn't stay. That's a sound that we were missing. But I also remember these things kind of popping and clicking. But anyways, these sodas at 49 cents, 69 cents, you would sometimes get a coupon in there, or there were contests in there. So that's why you would peel those out. And that would be 10 cents off your next soda, or it could be 50 cents off your next soda. And when a soda is just 49 cents, sometimes you would have it for free. And it would say free soda. But I can't peel that out with my fingernail, I guess, because it's just been in there so long. I don't know. But let's see if we can get this out with the little screwdriver. You hear this popping now? Let's just move on to that, I guess. So you have these little things. You guys remember bending these all down? And sometimes you'd get cut on it, but how could you resist? You're drinking a cold soda and you're just sitting there. You're not looking at an iPhone or computer or anything like that. You're just on the front porch or on a work break, and then you're peeling that sucker like that. And you could even wiggle those back and forth and then break them off. It was just kind of a pastime to sit there and do this stuff. Heck, since you didn't have if you didn't have a magazine, you'd probably read the bottle of Pepsi and know what the ingredients were or where it was made. And sometimes those things had little contests or movie things on it. Let's see if we can get this little plastic thing out. That's what I'm trying to do. I mean, it is stuck in there compared to how they used to be. They used to be pretty easy to peel, but it is somehow stuck in there deluxe. Okay, looks like I got it. But like I said, you would just peel these things out. Even if there was no contest, you would peel it right out of the top of the bottle. But like I said, a lot of times there was contests, like you save these and send off for something, or 10 cents off, 25 cents off was very common to have coupons like that. But sometimes in the summer, sodas would just say, you know, chance of winning a free Dr. Pepper or whatever. And I remember doing that. And then you just had all these pieces, and these little pieces, most people just chunked on the ground or something like that, you know. So yeah, the other thing that was interesting about these sodas is you would enjoy it when it was cold. And this is a foam wrapper. And this is probably pretty brittle, and I don't know if we can do it, but do you guys remember taking these wrappers and then just trying to peel it? And this foam is sat in heat and all kinds of stuff, so it's brittle, but I was hoping that maybe we could take this and peel it like this. Here we go. Do you guys remember doing this? Well, it just broke. But the goal was to peel this sucker and get it all the way down to where you had one big line wrapper on the soda. Just like that, if you can hear the sound. The sound is still the same, but since this wrapper is so old, this foam is brittle. But not only did the glass bottle keep the soda cold, but then you had this foam wrapper that you would keep the bottle of soda cold too. And I miss that because now you just kind of have this cheap little metallic thing on a plastic bottle. It does not keep your soda cold. They're not doing it for the environment or anything else. Yes, you can recycle plastic, but they kind of really don't. Now this glass, they can recycle. So there were a lot of cities that if you turn this in, you could get money for it. Here, there we go. We're going on a second one. Got to get around that little label part. So yeah, you could return this for a deposit, each little bottle. And I remember us going to the grocery store with like 1 liter glass bottle sodas to, the mainly 1 liter is what I remember, and turning that in and getting a deposit so that you could buy the next one at a little bit of a discount, and it just kept going. But all the glass you can recycle, kind of going, and then it ripped. But yeah, you could recycle all these glass bottles, and I think it was an effective recycling program. There were even pop places here in Oklahoma City called the Pop Shop, where you could get new sodas by taking your bottles in. And I wish they would bring this back because, in my opinion, the sodas just tasted better, and I feel like it stayed colder longer, fresher longer. And especially with the foam label, but the foam label, I guess, is supposedly bad for the environment. Who knows? I don't know. But let's see if we can smell this as well, just like we did with the beer. So yeah, here is the Pepsi, what's left of it with the label. I peeled it off down to there. Unfortunately, this was the longest piece that I got from it. I went around twice and then it just was so brittle I couldn't do it. But I remember peeling the whole thing off. I mean, it's just, what else are you going to do besides the bottle cap? And then these bottles, I mean, what was great on it is you could always screw this lid back on just like you can a plastic bottle. But whether it was a glass bottle of Coca-Cola, or I really love the glass bottles of the Gatorade that were around in the 80s, because then you could take this, fill it up with tap water, because tap water wasn't bad for you or anything, and then put it in the refrigerator, and then the glass would make the tap water extra, extra cold. Forget the Brita water pitcher or anything like that. This was great if you were out mowing the yard, playing, whatever you were doing in the 70s and 80s. Go in, get just a pop bottle, and keep some water in the fridge. That's what we did. So, especially with the big 32-ounce Gatorade bottles, we would keep water in there. So anyways, let me just see on this. I guess if we're gonna get the poops, let's get the poops. Hey, this actually smells like what I think a Pepsi should smell like. It's just kind of got a sweet smell to it, just like a regular soda. There's no fizz to it. I guess there is a little, shaking it right there. But it sure didn't fizz whenever I opened it. So, I don't know. Let's see. After that beer, it's probably going to taste real good. It's not bad. It's got kind of like a sweet taste to it, I guess. It's really, really flat. Also sort of a chemical thing. Not sure I should swallow that, but we're going to find out if Red is still alive in a couple days, I guess. I don't know if you can get botulism or something from this, but guess we'll find out because I had a small dose of it. Maybe I should just go ahead and take some Pepto-Bismol or whatever, because that stuff right there, 1977, is old. And then this right here, I don't know if I see a date on it, and I've already kind of peeled some of it off, but I'm going to guess that this is mid-80s would be my guess. 85, 86, something like that. Probably says somewhere on the lid. I'm not seeing it right off the bat as far as what year it came out, but that's typical what you would see in the 80s for sure. But these kind of glass bottles were around in the 70s, just like this with this metal top. And I really miss those like that. And people did different art with this too, you know, and I know people maybe kind of do it with plastic ones, but more so the pop ones, like make belts out of it or whatever. But yeah, people collected these tops right there for a while. And I don't think anybody does collections like what we used to do in the 70s and 80s, mainly because they're distracted by iPhones and stuff. But anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. So I hope you enjoyed this video on Billy Beer, kind of a comical beer, a butt end of all jokes, and Pepsi, and more so just how they used to open. Hopefully that brought back some memories for you. I know it does for me, and I'd love to make a whole chain of this. I had some of these 50 foot long or something like that, just whipping around like I was a cowboy or something. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great weekend and you guys enjoyed this video, and give it a thumbs up if you did. And we'll see you guys next time. And like I said, I've got a bunch of different products where I can bring back like this and just kind of relive some nostalgia together. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.